Hello everyone, my name is Ashish and welcome to the Xadmin channel. So in this session we are going to discuss about the interview questions on the topic of polymorphism, and in my last lecture we have discussed and we have tried to cover all the important questions which you may get in the topic of inheritance. So today we will discuss regarding the polymorphism. So before starting the lecture, I will suggest you to watch the lecture till the end and also subscribe my Xadmin channel so that you may get notified whenever a new lecture is uploaded, and also hit the like button. So let's start. So the next question which you may get in the interview is that what is a polymorphism in Java? And this is the important question. So basically, a polymorphism is a pillar of a OOPS concept. It is like one of the pillar of the OOPS concept. So it is a process of behaving one form differently in a different cases. So you can say that anything which is behaving differently in different circumstances or in different cases or in different position, right? So the same thing can behave differently in a different places or in a different circumstances. So that type of process it called as a polymorphism in Java. So for example, you can take an example of a television remote. So let's say that you have a television remote. So it has a red button, right? It is used to switch on the television, and also it is used for switch off the television. So in this case, the red button functionality depends on the current state of a television. If the television is already in a switch off mode, then the red button can be used to switch on it. If the television is already in a switch on state, then that same red button can be used to switch off it. So uh, so a red button in a television remote can act differently in different cases. So this type of like process is called as a polymorphism. So polymorphism in Java is one of the core concept and one of the pillar of a object oriented programming system. So with the name we can say that poly means like many forms, right? So poly means many and the morphism means form. So 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 together it is called as a many form in Greek. So that is the one thing that can take a many form. So in a simple word you can say a polymorphism is a process in Java in which one thing is behaving in a different way in different situations or in different cases, right? And to the interviewer you can give a real time example of a TV remote. So this is all about a polymorphism. Now the next question you may get that what are the type of polymorphism in Java? So basically there are two type of polymorphism, and it has a different name also. First is static polymorphism, and second is a dynamic polymorphism. So static polymorphism is also called a compile time polymorphism, and the dynamic polymorphism is also called a runtime polymorphism. So compile time polymorphism can be achieved by a method overloading, and a runtime polymorphism can be achieved by method overriding. So these are the two type of polymorphism in Java, and this comes in a OOPS concept. Now, the next question you may get, how to achieve or implement a polymorphism in Java. So this is the important question that he may ask, that how you will achieve or how you will implement a polymorphism in a Java, right? So polymorphism in Java can be achieved by two ways, by extending and class, so by using inheritance, okay, and also by implementing an interface. So let's say that you have a class, and if you are extending that class, then you can achieve this polymorphism through inheritance. And let's say that if you have a class and if you are implementing any interface, then also you are achieving the polymorphism. So these are the two way by which you can achieve the polymorphism, by the use of the extend keyword and also by the use of the implement keyword. So extend keyword is used for the inheritance purpose, and the implement keyword is used for implementing any interfaces. So the next question is, how is inheritance useful to achieve the polymorphism? So now the next question he may ask you, like related to it, that how inheritance is useful to achieve polymorphism. So actually inheritance is about the parent child relationship, right? As I have explained in my previous lecture, that inheritance is a property by which a new child class is created, in which it is acquiring the property of a parent class. So inheritance is about parent child relationship between the two classes, and the polymorphism take that relationship to add a dynamic behavior in the code, or to make the program more dynamically, right? So polymorphism use that inheritance property or a relationship to add a dynamic behavior in a code. So that is a polymorphism. Now the next question is like advantage of a polymorphism. So using polymorphism, we can achieve we can achieve the flexibility in our code, because we can perform various operations by using a method with the same name according to the requirement, right? So polymorphism, so what are the advantages? So first advantage is that we can achieve the flexibility in a code, because we can perform various operations by using the method with the same name. It means it is talking about compile time polymorphism, in which we are using the concept of method overriding, the method overloading. So what is method overloading? So method overloading is a property or a process in which we are defining a method with the same name but with a different arguments. So it is providing uh, a flexibility in our code, right? So this is the first advantage. And the second advantage is that the main benefit of using polymorphism is when we provide implementation to an abstract base class or an interface. So with the polymorphism we can implement our abstract base class and also an interface. So how yeah so what do you mean by implementation of an abstract class? So let's say that we have abstract class. So what is abstract class? Abstract class is a class which has abstract method, and also it can have a fully implemented method. So what is abstract method? Abstract method is a method which does not have any body, but a fully like implementation method is a method in which it has some body, in which the job is defined, right? So we can implement that an abstract base class with the help of polymorphism. It means that let's say that we are like extending any abstract class, then we have to override all the methods of the abstract class. Or if we are not overriding all the method of a abstract class, then we have to mark that subclass as an abstract, right? So yeah, so like basically you can say that polymorphism is to provide the implementation of an abstract base class, right? So we know that the fully implementation is not there in an abstract class or in interface. So with the help of polymorphism we can provide the full implementation of any abstract class or any interface. So these are the two advantages of using a polymorphism. It brings flexibility to our code, and also the abstract class can be implemented, or an interface can be implemented, right? So let's move to the next question, is that polymorphism versus inheritance. So in the last lecture we have discussed regarding the inheritance. So today we are discussing the polymorphism. So let's see the difference between the polymorphism versus inheritance. So the first point is that inheritance talk about the parent child relationship between the two classes. So this is the important point, that what is polymorphism. So that what is inheritance. So inheritance talks about the parent child relationship between the two classes, but a polymorphism uses this relationship to make the program more dynamic. So with the polymorphism we can make our program a dynamic, and it uses the relationship concept, means like is a relationship of a two class, or it uses the inheritance concept of two class. So inheritance talk about parent child relationship, and polymorphism use this relationship to make a program more dynamic. So the second point is that with inheritance we achieve code reusability in a child class by inheriting the property from the parent class, right? So let's say that we have a parent class. If we are inheriting that property in a child class, then we don't have to again define that property in the subclass. So we can use that property directly in a subclass, right? So here it's bring the code reusability. So on the other hand, the polymorphism enables child class to redefine already defined behavior inside a parent class. So what this mean? This means that let's say that we have some method in a parent class, and again we have extend that class into subclass, right? And inside the subclass, I want a new implementation of that particular method which is already there in our parent class. Then how we can achieve this? We can achieve this by the polymorphism. So here we are using the method overriding concept, right? So basically you can say that inheritance we achieve for the code reusability, and the polymorphism is for redefining the already behavior or a method inside a parent class. So the third point is that without polymorphism, it is not possible for a child class to execute its own behavior, right? So polymorphism is important because without it, it is not possible for a child class to execute its own behavior. So this is the point for the polymorphism and inheritance. So basically we can say that polymorphism uses the inheritance concept to be four, right? So this is all about polymorphism versus inheritance. So now let's move to the next question, that what is compile time polymorphism or a static polymorphism? So as we have discussed that there are two type of polymorphism in Java. First, compile time, or it is also called as a static polymorphism, and the next is runtime, which is also called as dynamic polymorphism. So now we are going to discuss compile time polymorphism. So a polymorphism where object binding with method happens at a compile time. Let's say that in a program, the methods binding are happen at a compile time, then it is called a static polymorphism or a compile time polymorphism. So in static polymorphism, the behavior of a method is decided at a compile time based on the parameter or the argument of a method, right? So in static, the behavior of a method or which method should be invoked or called is decided at a compile time based on the parameter or the argument which we are passing, right? So this is all about static polymorphism, right? Yeah. So I hope this point is clear for you, that what is compile time polymorphism. So a compile time polymorphism is a process in which the binding of the object is happen at a compile time. So now let's move to the next question, which you may get: how to achieve or implement a static polymorphism or a compile time polymorphism. So a static polymorphism can be achieved by method overloading. So other example of compile time polymorphism are constructor overloading and a method hiding, right? So so static polymorphism can be achieved by method overloading, and and I hope you know that what is method overloading. So method overloading is basically a process in which we are defining the same method name but with a different argument. Let's say that I have to implement a functionality or a method to add two three numbers, right? Let's say that I have to implement a one method in which we are passing two argument, and we are trying to add that two argument, and again we have to create one method, and in that we have to pass three arguments, and then we have to add that three arguments. So here we are not going to define the both with both method with a different name, because it may confuse to the developer that yeah, so it may confuse to the developer that what is the purpose of these two method. So for that we can keep the method name as same, only we will means differentiate by passing the number of arguments or the type of arguments, or the position of argument. So this can be differentiate. So method overloading is a process in which we are defining the more than two method with the same name but with a different arguments. So different arguments in a term of like type of arguments and the number of arguments and also the position of the arguments, right? So this is all about method overloading. So although we are going to discuss like more about this method overloading in our like next sessions, but for now I have just given you the overview so that you can you can like easily understand that how we can achieve or implement a static polymorphism, right? Now let's move to the next question: how Java compiler differentiate between a methods in a compile time polymorphism. So during compilation, what the compiler do, that Java compiler differentiate multiple methods having the same name by their signatures, right? So as we know that we can achieve compile time polymorphism by method overloading, right? And the method overloading is a method with the same name, like more than one method with the same name but with a different argument signatures, right? So the compiler what is do, he differentiate the multiple methods because he know that the method has the same name, so he cannot differentiate, right? So how we will do differentiate, he will look over the argument of that method or the signature of the method, right? That and then he will differentiate that okay, the first method has a two argument and the second method has a three argument. So in this way he will differentiate it, right? So during compilation, Java compiler differentiate multiple methods having the same name by their signature or by their argument or by their prototype which we pass in the method, right? So let's move to the next question: is that what is overloading in polymorphism in Java? So now we are going to see that what is overloading in like what is a method overloading. So in Java, two or more methods may have the same name. If they differ in parameter, it means a different number of parameter, different type of parameter or both, then these method are called as overloaded method, and this feature is called as method overloading. I hope you understand my point. So how we can achieve this method overloading? So this is another question, and it is very important question that the interviewer may ask you, that what is method overloading and how you can achieve this. So the first point to achieve is that you have to keep in mind that the method has should be the same name. So all the methods should have the same name with a different signature and a different type of parameters you are passing in a method. This is the first point. The second point is that the method signature and the number of parameters are same but type are different. So there may be case that the two method has the same name with the two parameters, right? But you have to keep the return type, the type of that argument as a different. Let's say that one method with the name add, in which we are passing integer x and the integer y, integer x and the string y, and we have another method with the name add only. In So here we are passing first argument as a string and the second argument as an integer. Then by this also we are doing a method overloading, right? So this is the second option to make a method overloading. Third is that overloading is also implemented when a different signature methods and parameter of the number and type are used, right? So here we have to keep different signature and the parameter or the number of types are different. So overloading method is implemented at a compile time. So the compiler do the differentiation by checking the argument of the method, because for a compiler the method will be of a same name, so he cannot differentiate that method right in the compile time. So he has only left with the option for checking the arguments. So that's why it is very important, if you are want to achieve method overloading, then you have to keep different arguments, right? So this is all about how you can achieve the method overloading. So here you can see this is the example I have put up here. So there is a class with the name method overloading, and I have created one method with the name display, in which I am passing one argument as an integer a, and inside the method in the body we are doing system.out.println, and again we have a same method name display But here you can see that I am passing integer a and integer b, right? So here you can see that there is two method with the same name but a different arguments. One has only one argument and the second method has two arguments. So now in this is main method and we are calling this by passing the argument, right? So this is all about method overloading. So in this way we can achieve the method overloading. So now you can now you can say that what is the output will of this like program. So you can pause the video and you can try by yourself. So here you can see we have a class a and we have a method m1, right? And also we have a method m1. So this is the second method. So in the first method we are passing only one argument, that is string x and s, and system.out.println. And in the second method m1 we are passing two argument, string x and string y, and we are doing system.out.println and main method, and then we are creating the object of a class a, and then we are trying to call this two method. But here we are passing for first method m1 we are passing only abc as a string, and the second we are passing pxy and x. So these will print out 1 and 2, right? So in this way this will call. So the first will call this first method m1, and this second method will call this method with the two argument. So compiler will differentiate with the argument, right? Because both method has same name, so the compiler will differentiate with the argument. So that's why I'm saying that it is the rule that you have to keep so you have to keep the check on the arguments. So it should be different, it should be different. So different can be like in the three way it can be different. First, the number of argument can be different. If the number of argument is same, then you have to keep the type of the argument as a different. And let's say that if the type is also same, then at least the order should be different, right? So in this way we can achieve the method overloading. So the next question is like, what is runtime polymorphism? So I am going to discuss these all these other topics in my like next lecture. So yeah, so in the next lecture let's see that what we can discuss, that how to achieve all like dynamic and method overriding and all right? So for this lecture we have discussed the some important questions in the polymorphism till the compile time. Okay, so in the next like session I'm going to like take over this session. Okay, and there we are going to discuss about more important interview questions in the polymorphism topic itself. So thank you and have a nice day, and see you in the next session.